Many people are born normal, and you see them daily. But nature is mysterious, and nobody knows when it turns normality into strange and unbelievable things. Some people arrive with conditions so rare that most of us never hear about them in our whole lives. Their bodies change in ways that feel hard to understand, and their daily routine becomes something very different from ours. In this video, we look at people whose conditions are so unusual that they leave you quiet for a moment, trying to make sense of what nature created. Let's begin. Number 15. Zara Hartshorn. Doctors spent years trying to explain why Zara's skin loosened so early, folding before most kids even thought about skincare. Her family searched for answers as her cheeks thinned, the elasticity fading long before adolescence. Cutis laxa eventually became the confirmed diagnosis, a connective tissue disorder that alters how skin anchors itself across the face and body. School days brought questions she never asked for, and strangers often assumed she was much older than she really was. Surgeons offered corrective work during her teens, not to erase the disorder, but to help her feel more at ease with how quickly her appearance changed. The procedure adjusted facial contours and tightened areas affected most by the condition. Cutis laxa continues influencing her daily routine, requiring regular checkups to monitor potential internal complications. Number 14. Manpreet Singh. Reports describe Manpreet as an adult whose body never advanced beyond toddler proportions. His height, facial structure, and limb development stayed fixed in the early childhood scale due to an unresolved hormonal issue that interfered with normal growth. Footage released by regional outlets shows him communicating through small sounds and simple gestures, generally responding to familiar voices and routine activities at home. His parents mention multiple medical consultations, though official diagnostic records remain unclear across public sources. Growth plates appear to have closed prematurely, and doctors suspect severe disruption in pituitary signaling, a pattern sometimes seen in rare endocrine disorders. His mobility is limited, and caregiving relies entirely on his immediate family. The contrast between his chronological age and physical form draws attention whenever new coverage emerges, as few documented cases match this degree of developmental arrest. Physicians who've commented publicly focus on supportive care, emphasizing nutrition, joint protection, and continuous monitoring. Number 13. Lucia Zarate. Old photographs show Lucia dressed in tailored outfits small enough to rest on a tabletop, each piece fitted carefully around her narrow shoulders and short frame. She reached adulthood weighing under 5 pounds, a measurement that still stands out in historical medical records. Contemporary accounts describe her quick movements and alert expression, details that appear repeatedly in letters and promotional material from traveling exhibitions where she performed. The era offered little scientific understanding of conditions like hers, though modern research eventually linked her proportions to a severe form of primordial dwarfism. Tour schedules kept her in constant motion, moving between cities with managers who organized appearances for curious audiences. Newspapers noted her precision when interacting with objects scaled to her size, an ability requiring coordination uncommon for someone so small. Let's head to the next name on the list. Number 12. Joy Milne. Laboratory staff arranged sample containers in long rows when early testing began, each coded to prevent Joy from knowing which belonged to volunteers with Parkinson's. She stepped forward slowly, lifting the lids just enough to catch the trace of scent she had first noticed on her husband years earlier. Researchers watched her pace and pause, marking each response as she moved from one container to the next. Accuracy levels surprised the team, pushing them to investigate the chemical composition of sebum collected from diagnosed individuals. Analytical equipment identified compounds present in higher concentration among patients, giving scientists a specific direction for developing potential early screening tools. Joy's involvement remained practical during these sessions, centered on identifying the same odor profile that had prompted her initial concern. The findings shifted ongoing research into olfactory-based detection, providing measurable evidence that skin secretions carry signals detectable earlier than traditional assessments can register. Number 11. Kim Goodman. People who saw Kim demonstrate her eye extension for the first time often reacted with a confused mix of awe and surprise, unsure how her eyes managed to move so far forward without causing visible discomfort. She learned she could do this after an accidental discovery, when a sudden movement pushed her eyes outward in a way most people couldn't replicate. Medical examiners measured the distance carefully and confirmed that her protrusion exceeded 12 millimeters, a number that placed her well beyond typical anatomical limits. Children who watched her on television sometimes leaned closer to the screen, trying to understand how someone could manage a movement that looked almost animated. Guinness officials documented the measurement under controlled conditions and added her name to their record listings. All right. Time to move forward. Number 10. Mammon al-Suwailm. Dense facial hair appeared early across Mammon's cheeks and forehead, surprising the first physicians who saw her as a child. Growth accelerated quickly, creating full coverage that resembled patterns usually linked to rare genetic conditions involving hair follicles. Barbers in her area learned to trim with precision so she could manage airflow around her mouth and eyes without irritation. Clinics attempted topical reductions, yet fresh strands reappeared faster than technicians expected. Hypertrichosis classifications were considered, mainly because of the even spread across her face rather than isolated patches. Relatives adapted grooming methods around gentler tools, helping her avoid inflammation in sensitive areas. Photos circulated locally, drawing attention due to the striking contrast between her age and the intensity of her hair growth. Specialists reviewing her case emphasized follicular activity far above common ranges. Number 9. Edabar Elchiev. Crowds first reacted when Edabar stepped forward with spoons balanced across his torso, each one sticking without any visible support. He tilted slightly, held his breath for a moment, and the object stayed fixed as if glued in place. Engineers observing him brought simple metal detectors to rule out magnetic pull, yet readings stayed neutral each time the probes approached his chest. Additional items, coins, ladles, small pans, were placed next, and he let gravity test the arrangement by shifting his weight. The objects held firm long enough to convince spectators that something unusual was happening with his skin's surface. Dermatologists have suggested explanations focusing on texture, warmth, and friction levels. Edabar expanded the demonstrations with larger utensils whenever organizers wanted more spectacle. Lights, cameras, and curious onlookers surrounded him regularly, creating a setting where each trial mirrored a challenge he seemed eager to escalate. Ready for another unusual life? Here we go. Number 8. Timothy McCready. Bright environments pushed Timothy into shaded corners, since his pupils hardly narrowed even when exposed to strong sunlight. Dark lenses stayed close at hand, offering some relief from the glare that overwhelmed him within seconds. Specialists examining his eyes noticed sluggish contraction, suggesting nerve pathways influencing iris movement were not responding efficiently. Reading from close range often became difficult. Letters blurred unless he adjusted the position of the page or dimmed the surrounding light. Encounters with new people sometimes led to a quick pause, as his wide pupils created an unusual visual impression. During assessments, instruments confirmed slow reaction times when beams were aimed toward the iris. Outdoor activities required careful planning, especially on reflective surfaces where sunlight bounced unpredictably. Indoors, low-intensity bulbs helped stabilize focus, making tasks more manageable for him when extended concentration was necessary. Number 7. Igor Vovkovinsky. Craftsmen used oversized templates when creating footwear for Igor, since standard sizing tools could not accommodate the length and width of his feet during his growth years. His stature reached 7 feet 8 inches, driven by intense hormone output from a pituitary condition identified early in childhood. Reinforced chairs and widened pathways became essential in his home to prevent strain on joints already under heavy pressure. Standing near him immediately highlighted the height difference, especially during public appearances where photographers captured the contrast from multiple angles. Medical teams monitored spinal load, heart function, and bone stress because his frame faced unusual physical demands. Travel arrangements often required custom seating solutions, and entering compact vehicles proved nearly impossible. Venues hosting him learned to clear passageways to allow movement without obstacles, since narrow corridors created mobility challenges. Number 6. Shiloh Pepin. Warmers surrounded Shiloh during infancy, while staff evaluated fused limbs shaped by sirenomelia alongside incomplete kidney structures. Support equipment occupied nearly every corner of her crib, each device contributing to fluid control or respiratory stability. Nurses rotated carefully, repositioning her to protect fragile areas still forming under medical supervision. She responded to familiar voices with noticeable shifts in expression, turning slightly whenever someone she recognized approached. Surgeons considered multiple paths for long-term care, focusing on preserving function rather than attempting full reconstruction of areas that hadn't developed. Her parents learned specialized handling techniques, adapting feeding positions and protective padding to suit her anatomy. Hospital rooms carried an unusual combination of complex machinery and soft blankets that relatives brought from home. Predictions surrounding her lifespan changed repeatedly as she surpassed early expectations through coordinated intervention and persistent monitoring by pediatric teams. Something different comes next. Let's jump over. Number 5. Ram Singh Chauhan. People often pause when Ram steps into view because his mustache extends farther than anyone expects, stretching across his frame with careful twists shaped over decades. He started growing it at a young age and never felt the need to trim it short. Oils, combs, and patient untangling sessions turned into part of his grooming, especially before cultural events where he presented the full span with pride. Photographers crowd around him during festivals, leaning in from different angles to capture the intricate coils he maintains. Stylists occasionally call him for demonstrations, interested in how he balances length with structure during movement. Travel days involve protective wraps so the mustache doesn't catch on surfaces. Guinness officials eventually measured the full extent under controlled lighting, confirming it surpassed all previous entries. Number 4. Tran Van Hay. Long coils of hair formed naturally across Tran's shoulders after decades without cutting, eventually creating dense ropes that curved and looped with surprising symmetry. His decision to avoid scissors stemmed from personal preference, and the result slowly transformed into a feature that drew visitors from nearby provinces. Curiosity grew as the strands thickened into hardened bundles shaped by years of exposure to sun, wind, and humidity. Neighbors recalled how he carried the mass by lifting it carefully over one arm whenever he moved through narrow spaces. Measurements were difficult to verify officially because he refused to trim for standardized assessment, but local observers noted that the length exceeded nearly all known comparisons. Photographs captured him seated outdoors with the coils resting beside him in large arcs. Maintenance involved no shampoos or modern conditioners. He relied solely on natural drying and occasional repositioning to avoid tangling at the base. Let's take a turn and meet the next individual. Number 3. Sam Burns. Sam approached each day with a pace shaped by progeria, a condition that accelerated physical aging far ahead of his peers. His frame remained small, and his features changed quickly due to the disorder's rapid effects on bone structure and skin. Classmates often admired how easily he connected with people, forming friendships across age groups without hesitation. He spoke openly during public events, explaining how he navigated limitations through planning and practical adjustments. His speeches highlighted simple habits, such as managing energy throughout the day and prioritizing comfort when symptoms became more noticeable. Conferences frequently invited him to share his perspective, since he communicated clearly about challenges others rarely encountered. His presence offered insight into living with a condition that advances faster than conventional pediatric expectations. Various research groups followed his case closely because his cooperation allowed them to monitor the disorder's progression in real time. Number 2. David Blaine. David Blaine began performing small endurance feats before taking on larger, more public challenges. His early acts focused on staying submerged for extended periods, which soon led to stunts involving confinement under transparent containers. A later project placed him inside a block of ice for an extended stretch, monitored by medical teams and technicians who tracked his temperature and oxygen levels. He shifted next to suspension challenges, including elevated platforms where he remained for days at a time. Fasting demonstrations followed, attracting international broadcasts as he stood inside a clear box without food for weeks. Breath-holding trials later became a key pursuit, eventually reaching times that surprised even professional divers observing the attempts. Each step built on the previous one, increasing complexity and risk as his career progressed. Blaine expanded these experiments to include electrical endurance events, creating sequences that combined showmanship with controlled physiological limits. Number 1. Arun. Metal objects placed on Arun's chest and shoulders stayed in position during public demonstrations, prompting spectators to look closely for adhesives or hidden support. Household spoons, forks, and small tools were often used, since they allowed quick setup during informal gatherings. No unusual magnetic pull appeared when handheld meters approached his skin, though the object still clung firmly enough to remain steady while he shifted his posture. Technicians observing him have suggested explanations involving surface moisture, warmth, and friction levels. Arun increased the variety of items during exhibitions by adding larger utensils or lightweight steel pans, testing how many pieces his skin could hold at once. Videos shared online show him standing calmly while participants place objects across his torso. Reactions typically focus on the visual impact rather than scientific interpretation. So, that's all for today. Drop a like if the content kept you watching, leave a comment with whatever stood out to you. Hit subscribe so you're here for everything that comes next, and thanks for choosing to watch here when the internet offers a million other videos.